You were never just another person to them, no matter how they treated you. No matter how many times they disappeared, deflected, minimized, or made you feel like you were asking for too much by simply wanting to be loved back. Underneath all of that, underneath the withdrawal and the walls and the carefully managed distance, there was something they felt about you that they have never quite felt about anyone else. And that terrified them in a way that had nothing to do with you and everything to do with who they became when you were near. The avoidant does not fear ordinary connection. Ordinary connection they can manage. They can be charming, engaging, warm at a surface level, present enough to feel close without ever actually crossing into the vulnerability that real intimacy requires. They have been doing this their entire lives, moving through relationships with a kind of careful, practiced detachment that protects them from ever being fully seen, fully known, fully dependent on another person's presence. It is a system, and for the most part, it works until someone like you arrives. There is a particular kind of person who breaks through the avoidance system without even trying, not by force, not by strategy, but simply by being who they are, perceptive, emotionally present, real in a way that cannot be easily categorized or kept at arm's length. You saw them, not the performance of them, not the version they carefully curated for the world. You saw the thing underneath, the sensitivity they buried, the longing they denied, the person they might have been if fear had not arrived in their life before love did. And being seen like that, for the avoidant, is not a comfort. It is an emergency, because to be truly seen is to be truly vulnerable, and to be truly vulnerable is to be truly exposed to loss. The avoidant's deepest wound is not that they do not want love. It is that they want it so profoundly, so desperately beneath the surface, that the prospect of having it, and then losing it, is more than their nervous system learned how to bear. So the fear does not arrive because you are too little. It arrives because you are too much, too real, too close, too capable of mattering. You became a threat, not because of anything you did, but because of how deeply they were beginning to feel you. This is the part that so many people in this position never fully grasp because the avoidance behavior tells such a different story. The pulling away reads as disinterest. The silence reads as indifference. The emotional unavailability reads as a verdict on your worth. But it is not. The withdrawal is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of too much feeling with nowhere safe to put it. When the avoidant retreats, they are not moving away from someone who means nothing. They are moving away from someone who means everything, because everything is precisely the amount they were never taught to hold. The pushing was never proof that you did not matter. It was proof that you did. And there is something else living inside the avoidant that rarely gets named. Admiration, a quiet, almost reluctant reverence for who you are. They watch the way you move through the world, the way you feel things openly, the way you ask for what you need, the way you remain emotionally honest even when it costs you something. And there is a part of them that is in complete awe of it. Because it is everything they cannot do, everything they were conditioned away from. You represent an emotional freedom they have been grieving their entire lives without ever having the language to grieve it. You are, to them, the living proof of everything they lost access to. And they love you for it, and they resent the love, because the love reminds them of the loss. This is the contradiction that lives at the center of how the avoidant experiences someone like you. You are the person they want closest and the person they keep furthest. You are the one they think about in the silence they constructed to stop thinking about you. You are the one they compare others to without announcing the comparison. There is a version of you that lives in them, not the version you see when you look in the mirror, but the version that exists in the feeling you created in them, the feeling of being known, the feeling of being met, the feeling that something real was possible, even if only for a moment before fear swallowed it. That version of you does not leave them easily. You have to understand the weight of what that means for you, the The person on the receiving end of all this unexpressed feeling, you were not imagining the connection. You were not building something out of nothing. What existed between you was real. The tragedy is not that it was one-sided. The tragedy is that it was entirely mutual, and only one of you had the capacity to show it. You carried the emotional labor of two people, your own feelings, and the silent, unprocessed feelings they could not carry for themselves. That is an invisible kind of exhaustion, and it deserves to be acknowledged. You were not too sensitive. You were not too intense. You were not too much. You were, in fact, exactly enough, and that was the problem. The avoidant does not struggle with people who are too little. They struggle with people who are precisely right, because precisely right means there is no safe excuse left to hide behind. They think you are special. They have always thought so. In the private chambers of a mind that rarely lets anything in, you got in. And the most devastating thing about the avoidant is not that they did not love you. It is that they did. Completely, quietly, fearfully, and they still could not stay.